Hey everyone, Craig Christoffersen for Let the Light in TV. Today we've got the just announced today, Sigma 50mm F1.4 DGDN. Now what does that alphabet soup mean? Well, it means, of course, DG stands for that it's a full frame lens, and DN obviously means that it's for mirrorless cameras. So we have a Sigma 50mm F1.4 full frame mirrorless camera lens here for you today. It is on the camera. We are shooting with it right now. It is at f1.4, just so you know. All right, let's move on. This is an autofocus lens. The equivalent focal length for APS-C is 75 millimeters. Remember, a crop factor of 1.5 times. So it's an autofocus lens with a manual focus toggle switch, as well as an autofocus lock button. An AFL button is on the lens body. There is no image stabilization within this lens, and if you are looking to purchase it, and just so we have a price point in mind throughout the review, if you're an American, it's going to cost you $850. If you're Canadian, it's going to cost you $1,100. There is no micro USB on the back for future firmware updates, so this lens is simply as is. Now, let's move into build quality. It is fantastic. I am incredibly impressed by this lens. You can tell that they really thought of everything when they focused on the build of this lens. I mean, for example, the lens hood. Well, that's not really likely something you hear any reviewer talking about, but the lens hood has both kind of this gripped ridge as well as a push button for release. So I'm impressed by the lens hood. I'm impressed by the body construction itself. There's grips all over the place for you to, move the aperture ring, move the focus ring, of course. Those are both have, these ridged edges for grip. Now, I would say that the aperture ring, if you're gonna do aperture racking, the way that the ridged edges are on the aperture ring, it's not exactly the most comfortable to operate if you're gonna do aperture racking, but hey, that's probably not an operation everyone's gonna be carrying out. And so, you can get by with what it is. Now the focus ring rotation, beautifully smooth, wonderful. The aperture ring has a clickable and non-clickable toggle, and either way the rotation of that aperture ring is very satisfying. The clicks are really nice, and if you have it on declickable mode, then it's a nice smooth rotation all the way around. Now it does have hard stops at both ends, sort of. So it definitely has a hard stop at f1.4. As you get to f16, it's kind of a medium hard stop. But good news, remember I said they thought of likely everything, or at least everything that I could think of to look at. So there is a toggle switch to lock it within f1.4 to f16 range so that you cannot get out of it and go to automatic aperture. So there can be hard stops at f1.4 and f16, or you can open that up and allow you to switch through to auto. Personally, if I'm not wanting to switch to auto, I like having those hard stops, and so I have that toggle switch activated to lock me in on those aperture ranges. Now, minimum focus distance is 1.45 feet or 0.45 meters, and it has a magnification ratio of 1 to 1.4. Chromatic aberrations, how does it deal with this? Well, overall, it is quite impressive. There is sometimes, a slim magenta outline, but you do have to kind of zoom in to really properly see it, depending, of course, on the monitor that you are using. But if we really put it to the test of, extremes, and we really push it, as you can see here, you'll see that as you get to 1.4 in a very extreme situation, both the green and magenta hue does become visible. However, in, your regular kind of shots, it's not something that's going to interrupt your image or your video either way. I mean, you can look at the tree branches and everything does look really quite clean. As for focus breathing, there doesn't seem to be any focus breathing to me. As you can see right here, the trees just kind of fade back into that blurry bokeh. And so there doesn't seem to be any focus breathing to me. This is the second Sigma lens with this particular focus motor that they have built into it. So let's see how it does with a focus pull test. As you can see from this footage, the focus pull test, it is very quick and very accurate. And then I'll also put up some footage of me testing the focus system, popping in and out, seeing how it tracks the eye. And it does track it really quite well. In fact, on one test I did, I had my hand in front of my face, but my eye was still peeking through, and it held focus on my eye. So I can say that I am impressed with the focusing system on this lens. It is quick, it is accurate, and most of all, my biggest thing, it is reliable. As you can see, I was just setting up the shot right here, and it could track, and I don't have to worry about, by the time do I sit down, does it still have focus? Is it gonna be in focus? I can trust, I can set it up, and I can hit record, and I can just trust, I know it's going to be in focus. All right, what about lens flares? Well, at night, very well controlled, just kind of one spot that you can see on the screen here, even as you range from f16 to f1.4. So all of that seems to be nice and controlled. All right, let's start to wrap things up here. What is the conclusion? What are we gonna say about this lens? What are the findings? Well, first of all, let's quickly talk about the competitors. There's a Samyang AF 50mm F1.4 for Sony E Mount, and there's also a Rokinon AF 50mm F1.4. So you have, the exact same specs. In talking with Dustin, he says, he has the Samyang 50mm, but this Sigma lens, it is quicker, it's faster, and so there is a price point difference of about $250. I forget which lens it is. B&H has a sale of it, I think about $50 or $100 off of one of these lenses right now. And so here are my thoughts. I think you have a very quick and reliable autofocus system. The chromatic aberrations seem to be handled quite nicely. I didn't necessarily notice any vignetting in the corners. Focus breathing, there's none to me that exists. And lens flares are controlled very nicely. So for a price point of $1,000, I say go for it. I think this is a very trustworthy lens. It is going to be reliable, and I think you're going to be very happy with the images that you get. If you want to see this lens and the review for photography use, then here, click this link, and that will bring you to Dustin Abbott's channel. He's going to, show you his results as it regards to photos and its performance there. If you would like to purchase this lens, the links are going to be down below. Remember, it is released today, so those links may take a little bit to actually produce results, whether they get listed immediately on Amazon. That's not up to me, so I'll do my best to have the links down below here if you would like to purchase this lens. That is it for me. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care, and remember to let the light in.